You're watching BBN Tonight on your official UK sports station, LEX 18. Presented by Central Bank, the official bank of UK athletics.
Welcome back to BBN Tonight. Let's get back to talking some basketball.
Absolutely. We are happy to be joined now by the voice of the Wildcats. That's Mr. Tom Leach. Hi, Tom.
Hello, guys. How's it going?
Pretty good. First up, let's look back at Saturday's game against Tennessee. Kentucky came up with more offense this time. The Cats had 71 points in this one. That's above their season average of about 68 per game, but still not enough to break the cycle of that late game collapse, Tom. What did you see, especially in those last 12 minutes?
Well, they couldn't stop the 1-2 punch of those two freshman guards from Tennessee, Keon Johnson and Jaden Springer. It looked like Tennessee just decided that we don't think Kentucky can guard these two guys. Let's just attack with them. And the thing that Kentucky was doing well is it was getting out in transition, and their half-court offense is still struggling, as we saw late. But when they were getting out in transition, they were having some success, and you have to get stops to be able to get up and down the floor. And they couldn't get stops because they couldn't stop Springer and Johnson, which put them into having to score against Tennessee's half-court defense, which is very good. And once Tennessee made the adjustment on Keon Brooks, Kentucky just never could counterpunch with anybody to make a big shot.
All right, so next up for the Wildcats is Arkansas, the Hogs, 14-5 overall, 6-4 in the SEC. Tom, take a listen to what head coach Eric Musselman had to say ahead of this game.
They've had a lot of close games that could have gone either way. They're a young team, and with young teams, sometimes that happens. But they're overly talented. They're very well coached. Like I said, defensively, how do you score against them is something that you've got to talk about. They have some really gifted individual offensive players. And again, when you watch them every night, I mean, they're in every game.
Musselman also expressed some concern that his guys are going to be a little rusty after a week-long break since Arkansas's game against Texas A&M on Saturday was postponed due to positive tests in the Aggies program. So a couple of things at play there, sounds like.
Yeah, they've had a week in between games. Kentucky had that last week when they went out to Missouri, and they were a little rusty in the first half of that game. So maybe they'll catch a break there, and that way with Arkansas, we'll see. But what Coach Musselman was talking about is a little akin to what Cal's been saying, that he's trying to stress to his guys that they are close to a breakthrough. And you look at the last three games they played against teams that are all potential top 4 NCAA tournament seeds, and they, in the last quarter of the game, whether it's 10 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever, somewhere in that last fourth of the game, they were in a position to win all of those games. But they didn't. So on one hand, they're close, and on the other hand, they keep making the same mistakes to find a way to lose those games. So, they've got to find a way to break through. I keep hoping if they can do that, that then they could maybe 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 3, but you have to get the 1.
Yeah, true.
Absolutely. And at one point last week, we thought we might finally see Terrence Clark return to the lineup, thinking maybe he could be the difference you were just talking about there for a breakthrough. But of course, that did not happen. The freshman guard has now missed all 10 of UK's conference games with a foot injury. What are you hearing about Terrence Clark, and do you think he could suit up on Tuesday, Tom?
Don't know. I don't believe Cal talked about it in his post game, but when he came on our UK network post game interview, he brought it up unsolicited that the doctors were going to take a look at Terrence either yesterday or today, and hopefully give them a better idea of when he might be able to return. But the thing he said was that Terrence definitely wanted to play and was chomping at the bit to get out there. So maybe we'll learn a little bit more at some point later today when Cal does his radio show. I don't know. But at this point, we haven't seen him in such a long time that, he shows up because, he is at least if you can get him back, it's a new element. And when things aren't going well, anything new, anything that's a change, there's just added appeal to it in hopes that it'll change the karma a little bit. So would love to see Terrence get back out there and give him something different maybe.
You know, Tom, while Kentucky is expected to lose some freshmen to the NBA draft, and I'd certainly like to see them all come back and go at it another year, Kyle Tucker of The Athletic reports that grad transfer Davion Mintz could consider returning next season to take advantage of the extra year of eligibility given by the NCAA and to finish his 2-year graduate school program. I think that would be exciting to have a player with that much experience come back for another year after being in the system for a year.
Absolutely. I mean, that would, they had almost no continuity with this year's roster. So the more they could have for next year, the better, I think. And, Davion has certainly played some really good basketball for them. He's a guy that's, somewhere, 33 to 35% three-point shooter, veteran player. So I would love to see him come back. I would suspect that the coaches would as well. And hopefully for him, it'd be nice to see as many of these guys as possible get the real Kentucky basketball experience next year.
Right, he certainly deserves that. And maybe if he came back next year, he could really focus on that 2 spot, not have to spend so much time at point guard. That could be good for him too.
Yeah. Tom, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
I think that would be great.
Thanks so much for your time. We'll talk soon.
See you next week.
All right. Stay right there. We have much more.
You're watching BBN Tonight.